Hello, welcome back again. My name is Nick and today, welcome to a somewhat of a quick video. I don't want to get overboard with this one, so I'm just going to leave it quite short. So today, as you guys should know, well, quite some time ago, a few days actually, we got a post by Riot, and in this video, there's going to be two things I'm going to be covering. First of all, is this state of gameplay, and the second of all is a new teaser. So, what are the state of gameplay, pre-worlds, updates, and beyond? What can we expect? Well, recently, as you guys should know, we had a few changes to the towers, and you can see here there's a graph now of what towers I could take in first. So bot is always going to be the first. It's like bot is always the one that's normally first because of the fact that you always have two people in the bot lane. So once that lane's won, it is a lot easier to keep that lane winning over other lanes since it's a 1v1 type of scenario. Now, we're not covering about this, and we are covering this next bit, so the next couple of patches, because what's the point talking about things that's already in the game? We would rather talk about things that are coming to the game. So first of all, it talks about the next couple of patches, which is 6.17 and 6.18. So 6.17 is the one that's coming on Wednesday next week, or yeah, I think it's next week because you guys should be seeing this on a Sunday. And 6.18 will be the one after that in 2 weeks' time. So that's just talking about like balanced stuff because 6.17 and 6.18 is what the patches are, what's going to be played in Worlds. So these patches are very important in competitive play because professionals are going to be playing on these patches, so they need to make the game as balanced as possible. Unlike last year, where they tried to mix up a little bit of the meta and throw in the Juggernaut reworks at the same time, and you see how well that went for Worlds. It fucked everything up pretty much. So Riot's not doing it this year. Instead, they're just leaving and just going patches only, nerfs, buffs, and all that good stuff for 6, 17, and 18. Other than one thing, which I'll be talking about next. So after that, they talk about game clarity. So they're just trying to make the game easier to, clear to see, like indicators and all that good stuff. So that's just an obvious thing. But this is when we start getting to some interesting things. So between the World's patch and the preseason, they've said that there'll be a period of low change. So we won't be seeing too much stuff. We want to keep the game pretty similar to the pre-Worlds patch, to the Worlds patch is being played on, so that the game you're playing is really close to the game you're watching. Now, I personally don't believe this should be a thing. I think they should keep on adding things in these patches, just because, yes, it's trying to keep the game as close to Worlds as possible. So when you see something that's good in Worlds, you know it's going to be good in your game as well. But I don't think this should be a thing. I think they should keep us constantly showing off new things and stuff like that. But it's not too much important, and they don't really go explosive every patch anyway. So having like 1 or 2 patches is fine. I think 3 is maybe pushing it a little bit, but definitely 6.19 and 6.20, I believe. I think is it's okay to stay in the world's lineup, but 6.21 shouldn't be. That's the one that should be new, because 6.22 and 6.23 is the preseason patches. Now, this is the thing that I want to be looking at. So, in these patches, we're going to be getting 2 things. We're getting the Assassin rework, and we're also going to be getting a rework on support items and just items in general. And these items that they are looking to touch are things like Ghost Blade, because as you guys should know if you play AD carry, Ghost Blade is a very popular pick on AD carries at the moment. You see the likes of Jhin, Lucian, Misfortune all picking up this item just because it gives you a lot more power early on in the game, and because the game is very centered around early to mid game at the moment, and it's starting to push past that now. It's starting to go into late game a bit, but it's still very centered on the early and mid at the current time. It's just slowly starting to drip into the others. So that means this item's still too good, and they're trying to push Ghostblade off of AD carries and give it to other roles. Well, keep it back into assassins, really. Now, I'm not too bothered about that, but it's the fact that Riot are, like, they feel like they're leaving AD carries behind a little bit. Like, they did this giant change in the preseason back at the start of Season 6, which was meant to give AD carries a lot more options. And yeah, it did. It gave us a lot more things that we can play with, but it made all of our item choices super weak. Like, we got 100%, we can get 100% crit very easily now, which is actually pretty good. But our entire kit is about late game, which we need to play to the late game to achieve. So our entire power is a late game focused. The problem is, the game isn't late game focused anymore. The game is all about early and mid, which is a problem for AD carries, and that's why we've made the adaptation of going the Ghost Blade, going all these items that give us a lot of power early, because Riot has basically just said, you are late game only. That's all you can do. And if you're going to give us that power, then you need to give us power later on in the game. You know, you need to give us some power in the early time as well. We need to do something early to allow us to actually be useful in the game, because at the moment we're not. We're absolutely not useful at all. So I'm a little bit sad to see that they're going to be changing Ghost Blade, but I hope they give AD carries a little bit more options to do stuff in the future. As for other things such as masteries, I actually don't know what they're going to do with masteries. I think masteries are in a good place right now. I think the only ones that need to be changed is runes, and we're coming up to that. So a couple of things after the preseason that's going to be looked at into. So first of all, this is the big one in my opinion, is the 10 bans in draft. This is going to be a big game changer if this does go through, because at the moment you get 3 bans per team, so that's 6 bans in total. So if you increase that by another 4 bans, then that's going to mean that there's 4 more champions that's completely banned away. And whereas that seems all cool and all, but you've got to remember that you can easily completely fuck certain people over, like heavily. Because let's say all 10 players are targeting AD carries, like all of the 10 bans go to AD carry, right? At the moment, there are 20 technically marksmen that can be played in the bot lane, if you include Kindred in there. And this is not including Teemo. You know, he's not a marksman. He's not a true marksman AD carry. So, you've got 20 possible AD carries you can play, including Kindred. So, if you ban 10 AD carries off, you've now got 10 left. But then you start looking at the 10 left that's probably going to be open, and you've got the likes of you've got Urgot, Varus, non-popular champions, so ones that people are not afraid of. And these ones that people are not afraid of and very unpopular, they're unpopular for a reason. People don't play them that often. So people will I highly doubt people know how to play these champions. So that also means that you're going to have a bit of a harder time if you're not used to having a large pool set. So if you don't have a large pool, you're going to be a little bit cocked over by the 4 extra bans. Well, there's a possibility you might be cocked over. Also, again, this also means a problem for in like other things such as professional play, because at the moment, some like professional games, you have 3 bans from a team all targeting 1 person. That's not bad, because normally a pro should have about 5 champions they can play anyway. That means that there's 3 champions that's banned away, 1 champion picked away, and then they pick their final 5th champion. But if you increase that by another 2, then things are going to get a little bit hard for that pro, because that means 5 bans against them. So that's already took their 5 one from the previous seasons. They're probably going to get another one picked away, and then they're going to be left with what's else. And when you look at a lot of professionals, yes, they should be able to play a lot of things, but over the course of a season, they normally play a very small amount. They try to keep their pool somewhat large, but at the moment, they try to keep it focused so they can get as much practice time on these champions as possible. So it's definitely going to be hurting a lot more people in this if they do go up to 10, but at the same time, it could also do wonders because things that are broken, such as if we go back into the Juggernaut meta, you always had to ban off the Juggernauts. You always had to ban Mordekaiser, the Darius, not really the Garen, and sometimes Skarner. So there was pretty much 3 out of the 4 you always had to ban. And because you had to always ban those 3, if you was on the blue side, you was actually forced into banning these because, well, actually, no, you weren't really. You could have banned 1 or 2 because you got first pick, but you had to pretty much ban either all 3 of them, or if you're on red side, you had to ban all 3 of them, depending on who's forcing the ban phase in this. Because if you didn't ban them, such a red side only banned 2 of them, then blue side can first pick the final overpowered one. And if, let's say, none of them gets banned, and blue pick do pick up the one of the overpowered, red side can pick the other 2. Like, that's a problem. They had to all be banned. And so that means people wasted their own bans to get rid of things that they couldn't play against, or things that they don't like playing against, because they had to ban these champions that are completely broken. Which is not fun, and it's not fair. So, increasing the ban width to 5 per team, you can now have those 3 bans, but you still got another 2 that you can work with. Yes, it's not ideal, but at least it's workable. So there is things you can do. And finally, we also have runes. Runes are apparently going to be changed because at the moment, they got rid of tier 1 runes recently, and they made all tier 2 runes cost 1 IP each, and they did a massive reduction on the most popular tier 3 runes. And to be fair, that's not enough. Runes are too much of a problem to deal with. First of all, they don't give you much at all. They're not very useful. Well, they are useful, but they don't feel it. And they don't feel cool to use. You buy these runes and they give you stats. That's it. Whereas the masteries give you, like the Keystone masteries give you like a certain type of ability, such as in a short window you do enough damage, Thunderlord proc after 3 hits. Or you have the Stormbringer, where you do a certain amount of damage in a short window of time, you get a boost of movement speed. Certain things like this, yes, are quite small in comparison of abilities, but they help you out in certain ways. Whereas runes, they're just stats. They are, you get more AD, more AP, more armor, more magic resist, more XP, I don't know. That's it. So they're so boring to use, even though they are very important, because if you do not have runes and you do not have an optimal rune page, then that could mean death for you. It can really fuck you over if you do not have a decent rune page on you. Because if you take 2 people that are equally skilled, so every time they fight, they're going to basically come out equal, and you give one of them a full rune set to match their champion, and the other person doesn't have that rune set, the person with the rune set is most likely to win. Every time. There may be sometimes where the person wins, but it's mainly the person who has their runes, because the runes are stats. And stats mean everything in a game that is built around having higher stats. So, yeah, you got a little bit of a problem there, Rito. So, this is something that they might be redoing, and I hope they do. Whereas the 10 ban thing I would like, it might make the game a bit more interesting, and it would definitely open up more picks into the game as well. But the rune system is the biggest problem in League at the moment, and it's the thing that needs to be changed the most. They did this with the masteries in the preseason for Season 6, and it's worked wonders. It's fucking amazing now, and I definitely can't wait to see what else things they add to it, and definitely make it a little bit better. But runes are definitely on the next on the table, and I would like to see them change that. Now, finally, we have the final thing that Riot has teased, and it's this image. That's all they've teased, it's just this image. Now, if you guys know your League of Legends, then who uses a shovel to beat people with? Who's a hunchback? Whose name's Yorick Mori? Fuck knows, he's not even in the game, is he? Oh, wait. Yeah, this is the teaser for the new Yorick Mori. So, what this actually tells us is that there's probably a high chance that we'll finally learn all about Yorick Mori in the next PvE patch, which is on the Tuesday. So we should finally learn his entire kit, what he's going to be doing, and things like that. And I'm actually genuinely surprised we're hearing about him now, because I personally thought that we were going to be seeing him after Worlds rather than enduring it. Because as you guys should know, the Worlds patch is being played on 6.17 and 6.18. This patch that's currently going out is 6.17, so the new patch, which is the one that we're going to be seeing Yorick Mori on, is the 6.18 patch. So I'm quite surprised that they're doing that, but hey ho, that's what they're doing. And that's literally all we got. There's nothing we can really say about this image, because we had the same image for like Terek, where we just had a ring in the snow, and it wasn't much, we couldn't go anywhere, but it has the same like vibe. It's like in the Terek one, you had Terek taking getting rid of all of his old tools to go into his new ascended form, and it seems like that's the same thing with Yorick here right now, because you have Yorick in the background, and his shovel is in front of him. It's like Yorick is going, like the new Yorick shovel is there, and the old Yorick is going towards it to become the new Yorick, and I generally can't wait to see what they do with this, and it's definitely looking cool. I'm not a Yorick player, I'm not even a top lane player, so it's probably not going to affect me too much, but I definitely want to see what he's going to become, and I can't wait for that. So if you guys want to keep up to date on the news, then I recommend do all the normal YouTube stuff on this channel, so hit that subscribe button. I'll probably do a news update talking about him when he does get announced. So until then, guys, remember, do all the normal YouTube stuff, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, everyone, peace out.